what's up? Today I want to share with you a beautiful one-pot recipe for braised lamb with celery in a beautiful avgolemono sauce, or arnaki selinato avgolemono. So first things first, let's get right to it. I'm going to start browning my lamb. I always use Greek extra virgin olive oil, no matter what. And I'm just going to do enough there just to coat the bottom of the pan. I'm not into this tablespoon business. I go in at least a quarter cup of Greek extra virgin olive oil. And I'm just going to take my lamb and I'm just going to start browning it off, just dropping it in there and letting it brown. This recipe is very easy as well because it's going to take a couple pounds of lamb and a couple of pounds of celery. Let me just put this away. Perfect. Let that go now. We're going to brown it on all sides and then we'll take it from there. So now that our lamb's in there browning, let's start by seasoning it up. And you want to go fairly generous on the salt. The lamb is very fatty, so it'll cut and it'll help. Same with the pepper. Nice little peppery kick to this is always a good thing. All right, so I'm just going to turn over my lamb, let it brown on the other side. And that way we can move forward with this. Perfect, just like that. Now, real quick, season the other side as well. A little salt and a little pepper. Perfect. Now, I'm going to cover this back up. Let that kind of finish doing its thing in terms of browning. The next thing is onion. I'm going to take one onion. In this case, I'm using red onions, but you can use whatever you have. Not a big deal. Red, white, yellow, doesn't matter. Now, with this, you don't need any Mad Knife Ninja skills either, because you can either chop up the onion, which is cool. You could even slice it. If you're not that good with a knife, no worries, not a big deal at all. Just slice it, because at the end of the day, the celery is going to be in those size pieces anyway, pretty much the same size as the onions. Typically, you can remove your browning meat and add the onions, but this is Greek recipes and we just do everything sort of the lazy man's way, and we just throw everything in there, just like that. No big deal. So now our onions are in there, stir everything in the pot. Let those go now for maybe 4 or 5 minutes just to become a little translucent. Time to work on the next step, which is the selinato part, or the celery part. I'm just going to lop off the top of these. Give these to somebody that's got like rabbits or something. So when it comes to celery, typically what they'll do is, like my mom, for example, will cut this whole celery stalk in half and put it in there. That's great, but it's kind of hard to eat. What I usually like to do is cut them into about 1 or 2 inch lengths, and that way it makes them much easier to eat and they cook down softer as well. Now I'm going to take my celery, throw it in my pot. Well, try and get it in the pot as much as you can. The next thing is our herbage. Here I got some dill and some parsley. It's organic, that's why it looks a little ratty. This is Greece, so everything kind of looks like that. And all we're going to do is start just finely chop it up, well, semi-finely. And I'm also going to add the parsley and the dill in here as well. So now, everybody's in the pool. What I'm going to do is simply top this up with water, just enough to cover my veggies. So this is about 1.5 liters of water, give or take, depending on the amount of lamb and celery you use and the size of your pot. Basically just enough for everything to get covered up. Now, I'm going to bring this up to a boil, cover it. When it comes to a boil, I'm going to reduce the heat and I'm going to let it simmer for 1.5 hours, 90 minutes, done. All right, been an hour and a half, give or take. My celery and lamb is ready to go. Ooh, that is absolutely fantastic. Everything has become fork tender, melt in your mouth, good. Now, we're almost there. So now the next part of this recipe is the actual avgolemono part. Now, for this, typically I use 2 eggs, farm fresh here from a buddy of mine's farm, right out of the chicken's ass. That's how fresh these are. So I'm just gonna crack them whole into my bowl. Nothing complicated. Now, you can separate the eggs if you like. I find that, you know what? It's one last step and it's really not that big of a deal. Now as well, for this, I'm gonna use 2 of these smaller lemons, but you can use 1 normal size lemon if you like. These are pretty juicy. These are right out of my tree in the backyard. There's much to be said about fresh citrus coming out of your own yard. Now, even if you get some lemon pits in here, not the end of the world. Nobody ever died from eating lemon pits, okay? They're not a big deal. Now, all I'm gonna do is just grab a fork and start beating up the eggs and mixing them in with my lemon juice. People, they hear about avgolemono and they think, oh my God, it looks so hard. It is not, and I'm gonna show you the trick now in terms of getting a foolproof, guaranteed perfect avgolemono sauce. So, our eggs and lemons are beaten up there. I'm gonna grab one of these ladles. Here is all the money. I'm just gonna grab a little bit of hot juice and just pour it in there or add it slowly. So that way we're bringing up the temperature of our eggs to the point where they're coming up gradually and they're not gonna scramble on us. If you get scrambled eggs, you're done. Recipe's over. You're gonna have to like redo your egg mixture. And I think this is gonna be our last ladle of the good juice. And that's perfect right there. It's getting nice and warm. So now, the next part of this is very simply, you just add it in over into your pot, over your meat and your celery. Traditionally, they'll usually do a little pucker, like a little, do it, you don't do it, it's still gonna turn out actually really delicious. So this goes here. And now, all I'm gonna do is literally just swirl this slowly, just to incorporate the avgolemono sauce or the lemon egg sauce into this. And my friends, this is ready to go. You have an absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous meal, fit for a king. 2 pounds of lamb, 2 pounds of celery, and a whole lot of love, and you got a fantastic Greek meal. So here's the deal now. Just gonna grab a little fork here. The celery. Celery is actually here, it just melt in your mouth. What are the odds I'm gonna burn my tongue? This is like hotter than sin here. This is crazy. My friends, that are so good. Oh boy. I am telling you, make this for your friends, your family. They're gonna be naming their kids after you. It's like so good. And you know what? It's a beautiful Sunday meal or a weekend meal. Unless you've got a great life and you can do this weekdays, power to you. So that's it for this episode on my lamb and celery avgolemono. Hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. For this recipe and many others, check me out online as well at kensgreektable.com. And until next time, much love from beautiful Greece. Bye for now.